Hi, welcome back to Movie Recap Zone. Today, I'm going to explain a 2015 American sci-fi adventure movie called Tomorrowland. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins with Frank Walker recording himself and telling a story about the future. He states that the future can be scary, and with every second that passes by, they are getting closer and closer to the end of the world. Back in 1964, a young Frank attends New York World's Fair while carrying a big heavy bag. He meets David Nix, renowned inventor and jury in the competition, and shows him a jetpack he created. He explains how he built the machine to him, but he is not impressed. Suddenly, a girl named Athena comes and is interested in the idea, finding that Frank is a motivated and hard-working kid. However, even though the jetpack allows its user to fly, it is still uncontrollable and still needs to be refined. David asks him how a jetpack would make the world a better place. Frank replies that it would give hope, inspiration, and motivation to others because anything's possible. Unfortunately, the jury rejects his idea because it still cannot be used and sends him out. In a brief flashback, Frank's dad also thought that the jetpack would be useless and told him not to waste his time, but Frank was still optimistic. Outside the hall, Athena approaches the frustrated Frank and hands him a pin with a T printed on it. She tells him to follow her and Nix into a small world ride. Frank chases after her and manages to sneak onto a boat. When the boat reaches the tunnel, a laser spots and scans the pin on his shirt, taking him through an underground passageway. He gets into a pod which transports him to a futuristic cityscape. He steps out from the pod and sees Athena is waving at him in a flying pod. Suddenly, several robots appear and push Frank and his jetpack off the ledge. He meets a robot that manages to fix his jetpack and gives Frank a thumbs up. After that, two technicians confront the kid, causing him to fall again. Luckily, the jetpack has been fixed and works perfectly fine, saving him from death. He flies and explores the city, getting a brief look at the futuristic utopia that he has been led to. He spots Athena and lands in front of Nix, but he is still not impressed. She grabs Frank's hand and introduces him to a paradise, known as Tomorrowland. Back to the recording scene, Frank is also accompanied by Casey, an optimistic girl who starts to share her own story. Casey is a smart girl as she managed to memorize all major stars in the sky when she was a child. She claimed that she wants to go there somewhere. In the present, Casey sneaks into NASA demolition site, uses a drone to hack the CCTV, and sabotages 3 cranes that will be used to demolish the platform, preventing her father from losing his job. However, her actions are secretly monitored by a little girl that turns out to be Athena. Casey returns home and sneaks in through the window. Her little brother, Nate, spots her and promises not to tell their dad what Casey's been up to. Athena secretly picks a strand of Casey's hair and synchronizes it with an identical pin that was previously given to Frank. The next day, we discover that Casey's dad, Eddie, is actually a NASA engineer and tells Casey that NASA is taking down that platform and it is inevitable. He also adds that they are bringing in replacement cranes for the one she broke the earlier night. Later in the night, Casey attempts to sneak in and sabotage the replacement cranes again. However, they are now more prepared. The security guard captures the drone and Casey is arrested. Luckily, she gets released and she goes to collect her stuff. She spots the T-pin among her stuff, which she has never seen before. When Casey touches it, the world around her suddenly alters into a wheat field, which shocks her. She picks the pin back and discovers a futuristic city from a distance. She tries to walk towards it, only to bump her head onto the ceiling. Eddie is very angry and picks her up from the police station. On their way home, she shows her father the pin and tells him about its magic. But nothing happens when Eddie touches it and he takes the pin away from Casey. That night, Casey sneaks into her father's room and takes the pin back. She takes her bike and goes towards the direction of the futuristic city. She arrives at the empty field and touches the pin again. She eventually finds herself in the center of Tomorrowland. Casey starts exploring the city and goes to a Tesla station, where she meets a robot girl who is able to see her and interact with her. As the train arrives, she follows an astronaut girl who later invites Casey to join her in a space expedition. As Casey walks towards them, the time on the pin runs out, sending her back to reality where she is walking through a swamp. Casey runs back home and asks Nate to log into their dad's PC. They eventually find a shop that is willing to buy the pin and she asks Nate to tell their dad that she went on a camping trip. The next day, while Casey is on her way to the shop, Athena shows up at Casey's house and meets Nate. He lies to her when is asked about Casey, but she reveals that she is from the future and forces Nate to tell the truth. Casey arrives and shows the shop owners, Hugo and Ursula, the pin. They urge her to tell them who gave the pin to her. She insists that she doesn't know, and the pair start talking about a girl who Casey has never met before. Thus she has no idea who she is and is confused. Casey tries to leave, but they suddenly take out 2 plasma guns and aim them at her. Casey attempts to hide, but eventually is cornered by the couple. Just before they shoot her, Athena comes and throws a time bomb, which stops time for a short duration. She convinces Casey to follow her and she agrees. Athena manages to knock the pair out and they escape from there before the pair, who turn out to be robots, self-destruct. They then go away from the city with a stolen car. Casey learns that Athena is a recruiter and is also a robot. Casey purposely hits the brake, causing Athena to be hit by another car. She then steals the car and attempts to escape from her, but Athena manages to catch up and tells her that she gave her the pin. She adds that Tomorrowland is real and needs Casey's help to save the dying futuristic city. Long story short, Athena drops Casey in Frank's house and leaves. Upon arrival, she is welcomed by a fierce dog which turns out to be a hologram. She shows the pin to the camera on the door, but gets thrown back by a powerful blast. Frank then comes out and tells her to go away, revealing that what she saw earlier was just a commercial that was recorded decades ago. However, Casey does not give up and sets Frank's tractor on fire, distracting him so that she can sneak into his house and locks Frank outside. Casey finds a recording device that shows the child version of Frank trying to make Athena laugh, but failed. At that time, he didn't seem to know that Athena was a robot. Frank eventually manages to get back into his house as Casey discovers his workroom. He reveals that he was thrown out from Tomorrowland by Nix because he built a machine that could predict the future, to be exact, to predict when the world ends with 100% accuracy. Frank gives up and accepts the reality, but Casey believes there is something that can be done which causes the 100% on the screen to go down a few points. Frank is surprised, but suddenly a group of robots, who try to eliminate Frank and catch Athena, show up and break into the house. Frank is prepared as he already planted a lot of traps in the house. They eliminate the robots and run towards the bathroom, hopping into a bathtub which turns out to be an escape pod. The pod lands on a lake as the house explodes. Athena suddenly arrives to pick them up. However, Frank seems upset when he sees her. They arrive at an office where Frank's teleportation machine is kept underneath the office. They get into a teleport pod, where Frank covers Casey's eyes with a black sheet and forces her to consume powder as Athena sets their destination to the Eiffel Tower. Upon arrival, Cassie is surprised when she finds herself at the top of the Eiffel Tower. They knock out a guard and get into a room where the mannequins of Gustave Eiffel, Jules Verne, Nikola Tesla, and Thomas Edison are present. They are the co-founders of Plus Ultra, a secret organization that invented Tomorrowland. Frank activates the spectacle, a one-way ticket for them to go to Tomorrowland. Suddenly, a huge space plane appears in the middle of the Eiffel Tower. However, the robots from Frank's house arrive and chase after them. They manage to get into the space plane and launch it into the sky on time before the robots reach the plane. The pod containing 3 of them goes back to the Earth, but into another dimension. They land and Casey finally steps into the real Tomorrowland for the first time. Upon arrival, Frank hands over a bomb to Athena and they are welcomed by Nix, who now has become the governor of the city. Frank tells him that Casey can fix the monitor, the machine can predict the future. He takes them to it by using a platform that can show events from a few seconds in the future using tachyons. They arrive at the monitor, where it can show events at a certain time, in this case, when Casey was talking to his dad after sabotaging the cranes. She then sets the device into the future which shows the NASA platform is being destroyed. She then travels all around the world with the device and sees riots and natural disasters, indicating that the world is ending. This is happening because of the machine Frank built and unfortunately, Nix and Frank have also given up. However, Casey still refuses to believe the reality shown by the monitor, offering another glimpse of hope. A few moments later, Casey realizes that the monitor does not show events that will happen, but what could happen. She then suggests turning the monitor off so it will not share false hope with other people. However, Nix has already prepared a device to transport them back to the real world and refuses to shut the monitor down. He reveals that he had shown the apocalypse generated by the monitor to the people as a warning. Instead, they embraced it and refused to change their behavior to make the world a better place, causing him to believe that humanity had given up and allowed the apocalypse to happen. Frank, Athena, and Casey fight back and refuse to be sent to the real world. While battling Nix, Frank orders the girls to go to the monitor and destroy it with the bomb. Casey manages to get onto the platform while Athena is fighting the huge robots. Unfortunately, Casey misses her chance to throw the bomb and is brought down back to the hall. Because the bomb can't be deactivated, Casey throws the bomb to the real world through the portal and it explodes on an uninhabited island. Nix attempts to shoot Frank, which Athena sees moments before it happens, causing him to jump in and take the shot herself. Frank immediately brings her to a repair module, but she knows there is not enough time. Thus, before she is shutting down, she shows a recording of when Frank was still a child and she realized that Frank was smitten by her, but she kept the truth that she was a robot and couldn't feel love because she didn't want to damage Frank's potential. Finally, she suggests Frank to use her self-destruct sequence to destroy the monitor. Frank carries her with his jetpack up to the monitor. Before he drops Athena, she says her final goodbye. She then explodes and destroys the entire system. After the incident, Frank and Casey decide that they can shape the future into a better world. Casey returns home through the portal and recruits Nate and Eddie while Frank is mass-producing the T-pin. They then recruit other kids and give all the pins to them, sending them to various places around the world. The kids then hand over the pin to people who are worthy and have hope in their lives, or in other words, the dreamers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you did, subscribe if you're new. And at last, I'll say stay well, stay safe, thanks.